This is literally the most riveting video on non-duality ever created in this moment. I'm Russ Rapp, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about new ways of seeing non-duality. So let's talk about some non-duality. I've had some thoughts about what I wanted to talk about today, but sometimes I'm not sure exactly what I want to say in the moment. And that's kind of what non-duality is it is what it is, and you can't necessarily prepare, control what's going to happen in the moment. I had a lot of ideas going into this. I went back and looked at my list of ideas that I've been compiling, and most of them either didn't connect at this point in time, or it didn't really make sense to me at this moment. There's a couple ideas that I know I want to make videos for down the road. One being about instead of non-duality, non-triality or trility, triality, triality, whatever. Because I think a lot of times when people talk about non-duality, they think of it in mental terms. It's kind of a correction of the mind. We talk about vision. Well, if you read the Course in Miracles, or if you're familiar with it, talk about vision or perception, what is real, what is unreal. So a lot of it is kind of a mind game as far as correcting the way you see the world, in a sense. But ultimately, non-duality is much more than that, because it deals with everything that we encounter in our lives. And really what I wanted to do today in this video was make a video that was kind of a parody or a satire on some other videos I've seen lately, as far as, not specifically I guess on non-duality, but on consciousness and higher vibrational states and that sort of thing. But I wasn't really in the mood to perform today, so the whole idea is to be really animated, because that's what people want on YouTube. So if you see a lot of these videos that get a lot of views, it's kind of, there's a lot of promising of, teaching you the top 5 ways of raising your consciousness, or the 3 pitfalls to avoid when you want to manifest reality, or whatever, things like that. Because there is the medium is the message, as Marshall McLuhan would say. And so the better you are at giving people what they want, finding out what they want, and presenting it in a way that fits the medium of YouTube, the more successful you'll be. And I think there is something to finding ways to raise your vibration, consciousness. There's also many other ways to get a tighter bum. What kind of workouts are the best for that? So and when I watch YouTube videos on non-duality, most of the time they're not the most exciting, because it's just people in this fashion just talking off the cuff, not really providing any grandiose insights. not necessarily quoting the spiritual masters or talking about enlightenment. There's a lot of pausing and staring at the camera, which, you know, I enjoy these kind of videos that when I make them like this, because this is kind of a lot of times when I get to the weekend and I make these videos, it's kind of how I feel like presenting it. It's just a long, not really concise video. So you're probably watching this at this moment thinking, what's the point of all this? This is a waste of my time? And in a sense, that's really great, because when you're talking about non-duality, it's not giving you anything. So you're not going to learn the top 5 reasons or the top 10 ways to, you're not going to find out anything like that when it comes to non-duality, because that has nothing to do with it. Non-duality is just essentially what is. And so when you talk about raising vibrational states or consciousness, you end up focusing on the lack or the moment being something that needs to be different. And so even though in this moment we can always focus on changing our reality, essentially when you're so wrapped up in becoming a better person or becoming more evolved, or talking about the stages of human development and consciousness and how we're becoming in 2020 there's gonna be a new vibrational state. I had to watch myself do that because it's really entertaining. If you watch some of these videos, now I'm starting to wake up a little bit here. But if you watch some of these videos, I get a kick out of them, because if you watch them with the sound off, because a lot of times I'll read videos versus listen to them, but you watch the cadence of their hand movements. You know, we gotta entertain you on the other side, so we gotta make sure when we're talking, we do all these grandiose hand movements, because that's way less boring than just watching me sit here and talk like this. But we do have some movement of the light here in the reflection of the picture that I took. So I congratulate you if you've made it this far in the video. So I think the message of non-duality is that you are okay. Not everything is fine, like the meme of the guy in the burning building, but like, you are loved in the sense that everything is as it is, and you're always constantly supported in this moment. Even though the factors of reality change constantly, that connection is always there, and it can seem hard to see at certain times in your life, especially when you're going through challenges or you're focused on other areas. But I think in those quiet moments, it's easier to kind of see the connection that you have in all things, and that's never gone away. So when you want to raise your vibrational state, you got to ask yourself, what's the point of that? Because there are levels of development. There are human beings as a culture, as a culture. We're developing as a communal entity. As humans, we're part of a larger human ecosystem, part of the ecology of the world, which in a sense is its own separate entity, or a holistic entity. And we develop, just like we develop as human beings from birth to death, we develop as a culture, and it's a longer term process, but we deepen our understanding, we grow in our insights, and so there is development for people, but with every stage of development, it's kind of always the same thing. So you may have a higher level of vibration that you can achieve as humans, or as a specific subset of humans, or whatever you want to say. You can grow and develop, but with those next higher levels, there's more challenges that can be wrought, if you will, and the opportunity for more destruction is apparent. And so, you know, obviously kind of a cliche one is a nuclear bomb. So we may be at a point where we have a higher level, a higher frequency, we're more empowered individually within a culture, but we also have more, with more power comes more responsibility, essentially. So we have more power to cause more destruction. And so the problem, the chaos, the issues that we deal with never really go away in that sense. And that's where non-duality comes into play and says that stuff never changes, but that connection that we have also never changes. And so there's never going to be a state where everything is totally perfect in a way, because the idea that there is a state, or that you've reached some sort of moment in time that is perfection, is itself a concept that will be able to change. So the moment you manifest something or create something in this world, you imbue it with its own death, if you will. And so through the concept of life, there is death. And so that death is the flip side of that coin. And so that's where you see some non-duality videos talking about you were never born, or that sort of thing, and that death is not an issue. But as human beings, we deal with death, because obviously I don't have to tell you, you see that all around the world. You've probably lost loved ones that are dear to you, and so the concept of saying that there is no death is kind of ridiculous. But the idea behind it is that once we give something the aspect of life, it automatically gives it the flip side of death. In the process. So how do you not die? Do you merge with machines in some sort of AI interface with silicon, and your consciousness gets put into that so you can live forever, or whatever science fiction you want to, or you know, you can call it science fiction, I guess, at this point, whether it's possible or not. But if you can insert your consciousness, let's say, into some sort of entity that will never die, then I guess you could say you live forever. But the best way to live forever is to realize that you're part of the living that is always here at all times. So even when your body dies or your mind stops, you're still here. And you can get into the definition of souls or spirituality, but ultimately you witness, your separate self witnesses death on a daily basis, in each and every moment, essentially. I guess I don't know what comes next. There's nothing I can teach you when it comes to non-duality. Even when I say there's new ways of thinking about it, that's because the mind always has new ways to claim what non-duality isn't. So there's always opportunity to correct the mind, because it always shifts and grabs onto whatever it wants to grab onto and create meaning. So what is life? What is death? Think about it. And in that process of thinking, you realize that it's just a bunch of bull. You know, maybe I should make a YouTube video where I just count to a really large number. Well, that's been done before. Yeah. So I know there's obvious ways to get a lot of followers on YouTube. And I guess with non-duality, you're not supposed to want followers, but if you've made it this long and you haven't subscribed yet, that's on you. But what else do I want to say? This is riveting stuff. So this video is a good example of what I was talking about in my other video about not being a guru. Is so many times you watch videos where people have really great things to say about non-duality, or they look a certain way, or they speak eloquently and quote sources of spiritual masters and teachers from beyond the grave. But life is perfectly imperfect. Okay, so maybe I should ask a question at the end of this video. And if you've made it this far, I'll give you credit. So, what should I ask? The thing that popped in my head was, what's your favorite kind of pizza? So if you can answer that question in the comments, then I'll know you stuck around for over 22 minutes here. So until next time, peace.